Okay, so the date is December 3rd, 2025. And this wasn't just another day in AI.
No, not at all. It felt like an inflection point, a moment where all these, fluid ideas about research and money suddenly hardened into a real structure.
Exactly. The speed of development just hit this fever pitch, and it forced everyone, corporations, governments, infrastructure builders, to make urgent moves all at once.
And the synchronization is what's really fascinating. You have major new chips launching, IP becoming this geopolitical battlefield, and a really sharp pivot to actual operational AI governance.
Right. We've moved past proposals and into enforcement.
Immediately.
So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're going to take this huge stack of sources, everything from RSCIF preprints to massive M&A deals, and pull out the essential intelligence from this one single day. We're giving you the shortcut.
Let's do it.
Let's unpack this. We'll start where it all begins. The foundational research that's making autonomous agents a reality. I think we can say the era of the passive chatbot is, well, it's officially over.
Oh, absolutely. The entire focus now is on building autonomous agents. AI that doesn't just, answer a question.
Right. It goes out and does something. It executes a complex, multi-step task over hours or even days.
But to do that, they need a reliable memory, a long-term memory.
And that's the exact problem that this new Arcos paper is tackling. It's called Memverse, multimodal memory for lifelong learning agents.
Yeah, and the core technical problem is something called catastrophic forgetting, which is exactly what it sounds like.
When the AI learns something new, it just overwrites something.
It just forgets. Exactly. So Memverse is basically an architectural upgrade for the AI's brain. Standard RAG, or retrieval augmented generation, is kind of like flipping through messy notes.
Okay.
Memverse, on the other hand, it uses structured knowledge graphs. It organizes facts like a library, and it's constantly refining its long-term knowledge.
And the performance gain is huge, right?
Oh, it's dramatic. Their memory retrieval is so much faster. We're talking an average time of just 2.28 seconds. That's an 89% speed up. Agents have to feel fast to be useful, and this delivers that.
So you have speed, and now much better senses. Google Research just dropped the massive sound embedding benchmark, or MSEB.
Yes, at NeuroPS 2025, this is a huge step toward multimodal AI.
It's moving us beyond just text, right? Into true auditory intelligence.
Before this, testing an AI's hearing was just chaos. Everyone used their own data set. MSE changes all of that. It creates a standard evaluation for 8 core audio tasks.
So not just transcribing words.
Not at all. It's about understanding tone, emotion, context, and it's global. The benchmark has 177,352 queries across 26 different locales. It forces everyone to play on the same field and meet a very high standard.
And we're seeing these agents hit the market with real-world results. Amazon Web Services, AWS, launched their Kiro autonomous agent.
Right, and they expanded their agent core platform. Kiro is being sold as a coding agent that can just work on its own for hours based on a set of specs.
So this is moving agents out of the lab and
straight onto the balance sheet. The key feature is what they call thinking with tools. The agent actually makes a plan before it writes a single line of code.
And there's a case study to back it up.
A big one. Lyft reported an 87% reduction in their resolution time using Claude on Bedrock with these new agent features. That's not a soft metric, that's hard cash.
And this whole race for autonomy, it's also driving this intense geopolitical competition. DeepSeek, out of Hangzhou, just released its v3.2 model family.
And this is really interesting because it challenges the whole idea that you need brute force computing power to win.
They're achieving parity through smart design.
Exactly. Smart architecture. They're using techniques like sparse attention. So think of it this way. Instead of the whole giant model looking at every single word of your input,
which is super expensive.
Incredibly expensive. Sparse attention just activates the little specialist parts of the model that are actually relevant. This efficiency lets them get top-tier performance on hardware that's, constrained.
And the proof is in the results.
Yeah. The v3.2 special variant, which is optimized for reasoning, it reportedly won gold medals in the 2025 International Mathematical Olympiad. That's a huge signal that the hardware gap can be closed with better algorithms.
And that idea, efficiency through specialization, that takes us straight to Europe. Mistral AI in Paris just unveiled their Mistral 3 family,
which includes their huge new mixture of experts model, or MOE, called Large 3. This is a massive play in the open source world.
So explain MOE again. It's like having a bunch of different specialist AIs.
That's a perfect way to put it. It has multiple specialist models inside, and it only activates the one best suited for your query. It saves a ton of resources.
So Mistral Large 3 has a total scale of 675 billion parameters, which sounds enormous.
It is, but here's the trick. For any single request, it only activates 41 billion of those parameters.
So it's like having a gigantic library, but you only need to pull one book off the shelf.
Precisely. You get the reasoning power of the whole library, but the speed and cost of a much smaller model. And by making it open source under the Apache 2.0 license, they are aiming squarely at enterprises that want power without being locked into a proprietary system. And, that whole discussion about MOE leads us right to the physical layer, to the hardware.
Infrastructure is now the biggest bottleneck.
Right.
And everything we saw today just confirms the entire industry is scrambling to optimize for power and architecture.
And you can't talk optimization without talking about NVIDIA. Their blog post reported a staggering 10x performance leap for MOE models.
On their latest GB200 system.
Yeah, on the GB200 NVL72 systems. This basically confirms that MOE isn't just an interesting idea anymore. It's now the dominant architecture for all frontier models.
And that's because NVIDIA has optimized the entire stack for it.
The full stack. The hardware and the software together deliver 10 times better performance per watt compared to their last generation.
Well,
If you're running an AI service, you have to adopt this. It completely rewrites the economics of inference.
but doesn't that just lock in NVIDIA's dominance even further? If the best architecture runs best on their specific chips.
That is the big strategic question. And it's exactly why the other big cloud providers, the hyperscalers, are fighting back so hard with their own custom chips.
Like AWS, which formally launched its Trainium 3 UltraServer.
Exactly. Featuring their third generation 3-nanometer custom AI chip.
And the specs are impressive. 4 times faster performance, 40% lower energy use. But what's the real long-term threat here?
It's about scale and control. This move makes AWS a fully credible alternative. It gives customers a choice. If you're building a huge model, relying on a single chip supplier is just a massive strategic risk.
And the scale they're promising is huge.
It's unbelievable. The Trainium 3 system can link up to 1 million chips. That's the kind of scale you need for the next generation of AI, and very few companies on Earth can even think about affording that.
Okay, so beyond the chips themselves, the fight is now about how they talk to each other. Marvell Technology just announced it's acquiring Celestial AI.
For a massive $3.25 billion. Wow. And this shows you that the strategic battleground is moving past the GPU and into the interconnects, the pipes between the chips and the memory.
And Celestial AI specializes in photonic fabric, using light.
Using light instead of electricity. It's like upgrading from old copper phone lines to fiber optics for your home internet. Light is just fundamentally faster and uses less power inside a data center. Memory bandwidth is the new bottleneck, so this is a huge multi-billion-dollar bet on what the physical layer of AI is going to look like.
But this relentless push for scale is, well, it's hitting a wall. A warning, really. IBM CEO Arvind Krishna questioned whether this whole AI data center build-out is even sustainable.
He's pointing to the unbelievable financial and power commitments needed. The number he cited was $8 trillion.
$8 trillion.
$8 trillion. So that's the cumulative investment required globally for all the planned AI data centers. That number is just staggering.
So he's basically asking if the economics even work, if this massive investment will ever pay for itself.
It's a very legitimate question. Is this a necessary investment, like building the original power grid, or is that $8 trillion figure a sign of a massive, unsustainable capital bubble?
And it raises the stakes for every CEO and CTO out there.
Massively. Because the investment is so huge that failure would be catastrophic. And it forces the entire industry to prioritize efficiency, which connects right back to the MOE models and the 10x per watt gains we were just talking about. The pressure to cut energy waste just went through the roof. And that $8 trillion warning is the perfect transition to the C-suite, where this escalating competition is causing some major strategic shifts and, frankly, a lot of stress.
Yeah, even for the market leaders. Nowhere is that more obvious than at OpenAI. They apparently declared an internal code red.
They did, in direct response to the competition from Gemini and Claude getting so much better.
So it's a defensive move.
Purely defensive. Even with their huge market lead, they're pausing a bunch of experimental projects, ads, shopping features, the Pulse Assistant, to focus entirely on improving the core ChatGPT experience. They're suckling the wagons.
But Why the alarm? They still have over 800 million weekly active users. Isn't a code red a bit of an overreaction?
I don't think so. It signals that they see a real vulnerability in their core product. The performance gaps are closing fast, and their strategy team clearly sees that as a structural risk.
So when you're the leader, even a small loss of users to a competitor feels existential.
It is. The urgency there is clearly extremely high.
And meanwhile, one of those key competitors, Anthropic, is just digging deeper into the enterprise market.
Snowflake and Anthropic just announced a huge strategic partnership. It's valued at $200 million.
That's a massive distribution deal.
It is. It's a multi-year agreement to integrate the Claude models directly into the Snowflake data platform across all the major clouds, AWS, Google, and Azure. This gives Claude instant access to Snowflake's huge enterprise customer base.
So they're getting market share through data platforms, not just consumer apps.
Exactly. It validates Anthropic as a core enterprise player.
We also saw some really strong signals about regional AI development. In India, the Regional AI Impact Conference kicked off in Shillong.
Yeah, and this signals a huge government push for what they're calling AI democratization.
It's for localization.
Entirely. This was the first of 7 regional conferences, and it included a specific hackathon for the Khasi and Garo languages. This isn't just talk, it's backed by a real government commitment. They've already onboarded over 38,000 GPUs under their India AI mission. They're building the local infrastructure.
And finally, there's strong momentum in the U.S. public sector. C3.ai reported deployments for federal health agencies like HHS and NIH.
This is a big deal. It shows that government trust is accelerating. The focus is on using these new agentic capabilities to automate really complex administrative workflows. And the numbers, well, they speak for themselves. C3.ai's federal business bookings grew 89% year over year.
Wow. When a technology gets that kind of adoption in the public sector, it's hit a certain level of maturity and security.
That's right. It's a huge stamp of validation.
Okay, let's pivot to governance. The theme of the day here really isn't just about new laws being passed, it's about policy being implemented.
Exactly. We're seeing this rapid global shift from, legislative ideas to actual operational mandates. The industry is moving past philosophical debates and straight into compliance and auditing.
And a new study called Token Power Bench seems to fit right in there. It's about measuring the power consumption of language models.
Specifically during inference.
But why does measuring power per token matter for policy? That sounds like a pure engineering problem.
Because it turns sustainability into an auditable metric, a compliance metric. This study gives CFOs and CTOs the tools to forecast joules per token.
So it's like miles per gallon for your AI models.
That's the perfect analogy. Energy efficiency becomes a clear KPI, a key performance indicator, which is crucial for compliance officers who are facing all these new environmental regulations around the world.
And in the U.S., we saw clear enforcement action. The Department of Justice reached a settlement with a company called RealPage.
Yeah, over their algorithmic pricing tools for housing. This is highly significant. It shows active government oversight of algorithms that affect market competition and, real-world consumer costs.
So the DOJ is signaling they'll use antitrust laws against deployed AI systems.
They are. It's a major warning shot to any company that's using algorithms for pricing or hiring.
We also saw this really remarkable international convergence around AI's physical needs. The IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, hosted a symposium on AI and nuclear energy.
And their theme was Atoms for Algorithms.
That's a powerful phrase.
It is, and this event marks a major institutional turning point. They brought over 500 senior people to Vienna, from governments, from industry giants like OpenAI and Google, and from the nuclear sector.
And the message is clear.
Incredibly clear. AI's demand for massive, reliable, low-carbon power is forcing these two huge, previously separate fields to converge. Nuclear energy is now being positioned as the essential engine for that $8 trillion data center build-out we were talking about.
And finally, let's look at the Asia-Pacific region, where we're seeing some very different approaches. Japan announced some really aggressive targets for AI adoption.
Japan is playing catch-up, and they're doing it with a lot of ambition. The government released draft guidelines, setting a target for an initial 50% adoption rate.
And eventually 80% usage nationwide.
And this is alongside plans for a new AI safety institute, backed by a commitment to invest 1 trillion yen in private capital. It's a national mandate for mass deployment.
But meanwhile, Australia released its national AI plan, And they're taking a different path.
A very different path. They're also establishing a safety institute, but they have notably declined to implement mandatory guardrails.
So they're contrasting themselves with the EU's very strict approach.
Very sharply. Their plan is backed by a $29.9 million commitment for the Safety Institute, but they're clearly betting on industry-led compliance and opportunity rather than strict regulatory hurdles to manage the risks.
So this day was really defined by two forces colliding: the race for AI agency and efficiency, and the global scramble to govern all that new power. Before we wrap, let's look at a couple of tools you can use today and the numbers that define the day.
First up is Socratic AI. It's a research framework that turns LLMs into guided computer science tutors.
But it's not just another Q&A bot.
No, it enforces constraints. It gives you a limit of 8 queries per day and makes you write reflection prompts. It forces you to actually learn problem-solving skills, not just get instant answers.
Okay, and second?
Google Workspace Studio. This lets regular employees build and deploy their own Gemini 3-powered agents for their daily work.
Across Gmail, Drive, Sheets.
And importantly, it integrates with third-party tools. And you can do it all without writing any code. It's a huge accelerator for enterprise agent adoption.
Okay, now for the numbers of the day. First up, $3.25 billion.
That's the price Marvell Technology paid for Celestial AI. It just underscores that the AI competition isn't just about chip speed anymore. It's about high-bandwidth interconnects like photonic fabric, a physical bottleneck that costs billions to solve.
And our second number, an 87% reduction.
That's the drop in resolution time lift reported from using Claude's agentic AI on Bedrock. It's probably the clearest measure we have today of the immediate, massive business ROI you can get from autonomous agents.
So if you connect all these threads, what's the big picture from December 3rd?
The big picture is a high-stakes trade-off. We saw the technical ability to achieve this incredible new intelligence, DeepSeek's efficiency, Mistral scale, mem versus memory.
But it's running headlong into hard constraints.
Exactly. Constraints that are both physical, like IBM's $8 trillion warning about infrastructure, and regulatory, with global policy now in an enforcement phase.
New safety institutes, compliance audits.
Right. So the defining tension from today is this question. Can the world successfully deploy the kind of hyper-efficient, geopolitically segmented AI we saw launched today,
while at the same time building the safety brakes required to manage it?
Precisely. That convergence of extreme velocity and immediate governance is something that demands attention from everyone right now, not just from the developers.